Welcome back to the Roy Garage. Today we install some engine accessories on the Dodgeball. Now that we have the cab on the chassis, our next main focus is going to be the engine compartment and making sure we have enough room for everything we need in here. We went ahead and got a stock Vortec engine accessory bracket from Summit Racing. Got our serpentine belt, pulleys, alternator, power steering pump, and pulley, all from Rock Auto. We got the hardware to attach this stuff from 269 Motorsports and some miscellaneous hardware from our local auto parts store. Alright, the first thing we're going to do is get our bracket mounted here. Now we are using some dissimilar metals, so we're going to toss on some anti-seize onto the bolts before we put them in. All the stuff that we're mounting right now is going to have the hardware from the 269 Motorsports. The only thing that we needed to get some extra hardware for was the pulley over here. It's down here. Those 4 bolts are all the same length, so they're pretty easy to distinguish in the kit. And we have 3 bolts that the power steering pump uses. See if I get this in there. Next we have the alternator. All right. And this one will spin. There's a bearing, Louvre. And one last one right here. Things. All right, now I should be able to, yeah, there we go. The last thing we need to put on before we install our serpentine belt is our power steering pulley. Now we went ahead and purchased a pulley remover and installer set from Harbor Freight to get that done.
Installation screw. Power steering pulley. We have our jack screw with our pulley nut. I'm going to throw this bearing on here, then put our thrust washer on there. And thread that to our installer screw. Okay, let's tighten this down here. Now using a 1/2 inch socket, I can hold that, and then using a crescent wrench, I will start to tighten this down.
Once I got a couple turns in, the pulley started to rotate with the installer, and you can't have that happen if you want to actually install your pulley. So you can see here I end up holding the pulley and tightening the nut with the crescent wrench. And once I do that once or twice, I'm able to go back to the socket and the crescent wrench and do that a couple more times, and then go back to holding the pulley with my hand. And that worked well until I just didn't have the grip strength to be able to hold the pulley. That's when I had to get a little creative. And you can see here, I end up grabbing a crescent wrench, throwing that on there, and that was just enough to be able to keep the pulley from rotating. If I were to do this all over again, I would throw that crescent wrench on there right away, just to make it a little bit easier on myself. have it. That's this week's episode of the Roy Garage. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on next week's episode. And you can see here our power steering return is really close to where our steering shaft is going to be. I think we're still going to be okay, but that's another reason on why we were putting this stuff on here, to get it test fitted to make sure it works.